When Vampire Survivors came out, I was stricken like many of you with the dopamine-fueled, keys dangling gameplay. I also had this feeling like I had played this type of game before. Smash TV.
I'd buy that for $1.
Perhaps even late game farming and action RPGs like Path of Exile. Yet it was undeniable that Vampire Survivors had created a genre of its own. Bullet Heavens, the inverse of Bullet Hells. Horde likes, credit to Pepperhead. Or simply Survivor likes, a widely used naming convention of putting likes at the end, influenced by one of the oldest terms, roguelikes. When a game does so well, it spawns a genre. Often the following games are called clones. The most famous of these were the Doom clones. This is before the term FPS, or first-person shooter, was coined. So being called a clone wasn't necessarily negative. However, we all know games that were not made out of an inspiration or a passion, but simply to just chase a trend and gamble on hitting it big. Along with Vampire Survivors, another recent success for a genre I really enjoy is Exit 8. Many copycats did the exact same formula, but were still fun enough to be worth playing. One could point to how Exit 8 was predated and probably heavily inspired by I'm on Observation Duty, another fantastic game who was the progenitor of its own genre. A genre of games which felt quite similar to a game I remember from my childhood of Spot the Difference.
Oh no, he's hot!
So what's the point of this, I hear the voice in my head ask, not the viewer, this hypothetical viewer. Nearly 3 minutes into this video. Why are we here? Why are we watching this video? That creativity isn't just born from the void of one's mind, that almost everything that is creative was inspired by something. There's a reason we ask people what inspired their work of art. Sometimes it was an emotion or an event, but often there were multiple films or games that inspired the piece of artwork in question. Maybe this is a bit obvious to everyone else, but this only just recently occurred to me, which is what inspired me to start this video. Which you, the viewer, can judge on how creative this is for a video topic. I believe there is no direct source media that I could point to and say, yes, this inspired me to make this video. Which you could say kind of goes against what I'm going for in this video. And then I can argue back that, well, the exception proves the rule. At which point you could say, well, you haven't proved anything with this video.
But, all I'm saying...
Whatever style of editing that I'm currently using in this video is 100% a result of watching many other YouTube videos and seeing what I like and dislike, seeing what's feasible for me to try to recreate and what's just, above my pay grade. This means if you're still learning or want to start the journey of something like game dev, web dev, or even just making YouTube videos, you shouldn't concern yourself with trying to be as original as possible or not pursuing a topic that you have interest in just because someone already covered it. Of course, don't plagiarize, but you will be surprised how much you can learn just by trying to recreate something like a Doom or your favorite Horde-like. Then, along the way is when you can make some sort of changes that you think would be better, more fun, or just curious about. What if you had to pick some sort of curse every couple of levels? Would that make your favorite game more challenging, or would it just be something annoying to deal with since games are usually about power fantasy? You don't need to reinvent the wheel in order to be successful. Even as I write this script, I get constant feelings and doubt, or even question the purpose of this video. Yet I know from experience that the only way to improve is to keep pushing forward and hopefully receive some feedback along the way. When I was learning web development, one of the least creative yet useful projects for me was to recreate a website, like a micro Reddit or a social media. It gave me many predefined tasks to work on, so I didn't have to waste a lot of time on thinking. Rather, I spent more time on doing, which is the best way to learn. I actually got disinterested part of the way through, and instead started working on my own personal project as a substitute. Alright, and this is going to be the less scripted, and by less I mean unscripted part of the video, where I just rant a little bit. I had a lot more written down, but I also had to clean it up, make it shorter, less off tangents and rambly, but I also know if I work on this for too much longer, there's a good chance I just get disinterested, or I find that there's just too many little things I just like with this, or that the script just has no real purpose and I keep, shutting certain things down, and then I just never put out the video. I've had, not a lot, but I've had certain videos who just, they've just died, I'd guess, in the creative process. And part of it is me trying to learn how to edit videos a little bit better. Part of it is trying to learn how to read scripts, not just write them, but also read the scripts, because I notice while I'm reading, I will interject my own words, which I just go with the flow at that point, because I need to, depends on the, what the line is, but if I see something more natural to my brain, I probably should go with that, because I'll say it better. But that will do it for this one. I don't want to have a 4-minute video of content and then I ramble for 4 more minutes afterwards. It doesn't really seem warranted. Only a certain percentage of the video should be rambling, if any, of course. But if you enjoyed what I did in this video so far, I would appreciate the like. And then if you would like to see more videos like this, then consider doing a subscribe. YouTube lets me know how certain videos do, so if I see that this video does a little bit better than the average video, then I can see that there might be interest for this type of content, and I can try doing that. I probably will still do a few more videos like this I have ideas about. But that will do it for this video. Thank you for everyone who came by. I appreciate it. I hope you guys have a great day, good night, and all that jazz. Bye-bye.